In this video, we're going to go over how to collaborate with an architect that's using AutoCAD. First, let's open up our Revit template. The first step we want to do is go and navigate to a floor plan view. You also want to make sure that you don't have any sheet views open, as if we accidentally linked our CAD file to a sheet view, it would come in as a title block instead of an architectural background. Next, we want to go to the Insert tab and click the Link CAD button. There's an Import CAD button, but do not use that. That'll convert all of the CAD lines and line styles to Revit lines and line styles, and it'll just make a big mess out of our Revit project file. Select the Link CAD button and navigate to the architectural DWG file. This will contain all of the walls and other architectural elements from the architect. Down at the bottom, there are two settings you want to pay attention to. The colors. Here you can select Preserve, which will leave it all of the rainbow of colors, or you could select Black and White. We'll leave it to Preserve just to see the differences in the different lines. Next is the Layers and Levels setting. You want to usually select Visible here. What this means is in AutoCAD everything is broken into layers, and some can be turned on and some can be turned off. And so when you select Visible, this will be how the architect saved it. And if you click All, it'll bring in every layer in the architect's file, which will usually just be a lot more lines that you do not actually want to see. So set this to Visible, set your color scheme, and now we can press Open. The place at is usually set to whatever your floor plan view is set at, so you usually don't need to touch this. And positioning, you should always leave origin to origin. So select our DWG file and press Open. Once our DWG file opens, it's usually not in the center of your screen. And so the best thing to do is just start to zoom out and find it. If you happen to have crop view turned on, which is checked, it's possible you may not see your CAD file at all. You can keep zooming out, it's not going to be there. And the reason for this is that the crop region will crop out anything that's not inside of it when crop view is on. If you don't see a rectangular box or crop region, it's possible that crop region visible has been turned off. This is a tricky situation, and just to avoid it, it's best to leave crop region visible on in your template file and leave crop view off, and this way you can always see CAD files when they're inserted if you zoom out. So the next step, we're going to take our crop region and we want to drag it over top of the AutoCAD file and resize it around the floor plan that we want to use for the background of our equipment plan. Next, we can use the crop view button. As we just saw, this button will crop out everything that's outside of the crop region. If we wanted to customize the shape of our crop region, we can select it, and up here at the top we could click Edit Crop, and it'll give us this magenta box, and we can use this little draw panel to create a different shape. Click the lines, you can drag the grips, and by resizing our magenta box and pressing this green check mark, we can now create this custom crop window. Now that we have our view cropped, we can zoom in and start to remove the AutoCAD lines from the architect's file. This is a step that you don't even have to leave Revit to do. By clicking the architect's background, it'll turn this blue selected color. Up here at the top, there's a button called Query. We're going to click that, and now you can see it'll let us click these individual lines in the architect's CAD file. So let's click this dimension, and this window will pop up showing us the name, the block name, the layer name, and style. I think some other things, nope, that's it. Of this line that we selected inside the architect's file. And if you see down here, we have two options. We can delete it, or we can hide it in view. I usually like to delete them, which removes these lines from the entire project, but if there's some lines that you want to keep for some other views and maybe just delete them in this view, you could hide them in view, and that'll just hide them in this particular floor plan view. So I'm going to click delete for this one, And I'm going to continue this process to clean up this floor plan and get it ready for food service equipment placement. So let's continue. We'll click another one, click delete, we'll click the notes. We can click these overhead lines and the other lines. So this is starting to look good. The last remaining equipment here in yellow here, it's kind of hard to see, but it's food service equipment that the architect had drawn. And if you're replacing it, if you're placing equipment over top of what the architect had drawn and redesigning it at the same time, it can be helpful to leave this on and delete it later, because that way you kind of see what to place where, just to kind of keep the same design scheme. But I'm going to go ahead and delete it and just keep going through this process to show you how clean you can get it. And there we go. These are countertops. We're going to leave those as a bar. Here's our walls and our doorways. And this is some other dye wall, and looks like some more countertops here. So I'm going to press escape, which will close out of the query button, and just zoom out a bit. And that is how you clean up an architect's CAD file, background file, or DWG file, all the same thing, before you're ready to place your food service equipment.